it sounds like you have a marketing problem. And I had the same conversation with the libertarians when we had the Libertarian Roundtable debate. They have all these amazing ideas, but nothing breaks through because none of their candidates are charismatic or nobody's listening to them. So I'm going to throw something your way. And
by the way, I agree with you on that analysis.
Okay. Well, thank you. So
I am a country boy from the north end of Vancouver Island with a science PhD, and I know how to write about it and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, let's say you are absolutely correct. Is it fair to say that you're not a fan of the new Green Deal? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Okay, so we'll go there. Is it fair to say that you're not a fan of the Paris Climate Accord?
Of course.
Is that fair to say? Okay,
Yes.
I'm just painting a picture for you. So, but you know who is, okay? And I'm just going to go down some names here and just throw them out there, and this will get to my point of the question about the marketing problem. We all know Greta Thunberg. You've turned, 16-year-old girl, whatever. Maybe she's 18 now. You got Leonardo DiCaprio. You got Al Gore. You have Pharrell, Robert Redford, Mark Ruffalo, Joaquin Phoenix, Sir David Attenborough, Elon Musk. You can throw him in that category. Jaden Smith, if you're familiar with him, Will Smith's son. Big advocate of the. Did I just go there with Will Smith?
Did you just say Jaden Smith? Go ahead. I'm listening to the list of names.
Jane Fonda. Point is, you have all these celebrities on the other side of your argument.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Except they know nothing about science.
Okay, but that's my point.
Yeah.
And this essentially, you just basically answered my question. They're doing great at marketing. You have some of the most famous people in the world saying, "Listen to us. We know what we're talking about." And then you have Dr. Patrick Moore, for the most part, not a household name, smart guy on the other side. So who's on your? Who can you recruit? Much like Hollywood or the celebrities or the Green New Deal crew, the AOC crew, who can you recruit to be your biggest advocate to say, oh, it's not just me. It's not this smart Canadian scientist that's saying this. It's X, Y, Z, A, B, C, bing, 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 bing. To kind of even the playing field, because it sounds like you have the exact same problem the libertarians have. All these amazing ideas, but it's lost in the echo chamber. Nobody's listening. Is that a fair point? Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yes, I don't know about the libertarian analogy, but you're right about...
The point is they don't have a charismatic leader or leaders
you're right
or face.
You're right about the celebrity analogy. I don't know how to parse society in a way to give a decent answer to that, except all I know is I've worked all my life in the environmental field. I've seen how it has changed and gone off on a course that it's gone off on now, where it's taking advantage of the situation of people being afraid that they're killing their grandchildren while they're driving their car. And there are really no celebrities on the science side. Most of the people on the science side that think like I do are scientists.
Well, you have someone like Bill Nye out there. He's, I would say, a celebrity scientist, household name.
Yes, except...
A lot of the Gen Z grew up with that guy.
Bill Nye.
But the point is, I know you're shaking your head. You're kind of, Bill Nye, he's a joke. Green New Deal,
He
it's
is
a joke.
a joke, yeah.
Paris Climate, I don't agree with it.
I'm not saying
but
those,
this is who's
are,
making traction.
Yes, those aren't jokes. The Paris Climate Deal is not a joke. It's an international treaty. And it's based on the idea that a 1 degree more rise in global temperature will be a disaster, a crisis, an emergency, which is so ridiculous if you look at the history of the temperature of the Earth. I mean, we're actually at the tail end of a 50 million year cooling period at this point in the Pleistocene Ice Age. And yet they're saying it's too hot. I mean, it's that simple. But what do you do about fads and cults and
who can
popular
you recruit
movements?
To get your message out there?
We have
essentially what I'm asking.
We have an organization which is recruiting. It's called the CO2 Coalition. It's based in Arlington, Virginia. Greg Wrightstone is the executive director. He is a very smart geologist who understands the ages of the Earth, and he also understands politics very well. We just had a really good win in Pennsylvania where a judge overturned the Pennsylvania Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which was going to cost billions of dollars. And just like with the recent Supreme Court decision on the EPA and CO2, this is basically making the point that these administrations, the deep state basically, does not have the right to overrule Congress and to go beyond what Congress has approved. There's a trend in that direction now, and that is a good trend, and we are helping with that, with information, directly to the people who are making the decisions. So the CO2 Coalition here, Clintel, it's a funny name, but it's initials for a global warming group in Europe mainly. It is now got over 1,000 people who are real scientists behind it, and so we are organizing. But we are not politicians. We're just not born, and we're not movie stars, So it's not an easy road to hoe. But the truth surely will eventually come to the surface, especially if the climate doesn't warm very much in the next while, which it hasn't been doing for the last while. So we don't really have any big trend of warming going on. As a matter of fact, Western North America was colder this spring and early summer than it has been for a long time.
But those aren't the messages we're hearing in the media.
Well, they don't report cold. They only report hot. So that's the other problem that is a societal problem and a political problem is the vast majority of the media is fake now. And they're not reporting the southern border. They're not reporting the climate news. I see politicians saying that Bangladesh now has the biggest flood in 100 years. They have floods every year. 100 people have died this year in floods. Just a few years ago, 400 people died in floods. And they're saying it's the biggest in 100 years. And these are Canadian members of Parliament.
Is it the fact that the media is actually fake, or they more just have an agenda and they want to stick to that agenda? There's a difference there.
No, in order to stick to their agenda, they must lie. That's what they're doing. And they know they're doing it. They absolutely know they're twisting it and turning and ignore. They have two strategies. One is to lie. The other one is to ignore. So a combination of lying and ignoring works really well at making the population ignorant of what's really going on in the world today. Because what's going on in the world today is that the air is healthy, healthier than it was 50 years ago or even 100 years ago or even 200 years ago when they were burning coal in every house. They had the Black Death in London occurred before 1900 when they finally realized they had to stop using coal as their main fuel. Mm-hmm. And all kinds of changes have happened which make the air in the world cleaner today. The forest area of the world is growing today. As I mentioned, China and India are largely responsible, but Europe as well. And we're not losing forest. There's more forest in the United States today than there was in 1900, by a small margin, but there is more. And that's because people are planting trees because, you see, the more wood we use, people think, the more wood we use, the fewer trees there will be. No, the more wood we use, the more trees there will be. Because when people use wood, someone has to plant another tree in order to produce the wood for the next person that wants it. So building all our house structures out of wood actually is one of the main reasons why we have so many trees here. The reason Haiti has almost no forest is because they build their houses out of substandard concrete, which falls on their heads in an earthquake and killed 250,000 of them after the Japanese tsunami, which killed no one in the earthquake. Unfortunately, 20,000 people died in the tsunami. But that wasn't because buildings failed. That was because of the wave. The buildings in Japan are built to standards that can withstand an earthquake of 9. In Haiti, an earthquake 20 times less powerful killed 250,000 people.
That's powerful right there.
Because if they built their houses out of wood that is treated for termites, it was easy treatment for termite resistance in wood. If they would build their houses with termite-resistant wood, they would have forests all across the country like their neighbor Dominican Republic has. It's a famous border between the two. From the satellite, you can see Haiti completely deforested and the Dominican Republic green and lush as can be. I've been there. It's a beautiful place. I'm not going to Haiti.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.